Have you ever looked at someone and felt like something just didn't add up? They smiled, said the right things, made all the right moves, and yet, deep down, something felt off. It's as if we're surrounded by people wearing masks, carefully crafted to hide who they truly are. And let's be honest, trying to figure out what someone really thinks, what they're hiding, or whether you can trust them, it can feel exhausting. Especially in a world where people speak one way and act another. If you've ever been misled, manipulated, or blindsided by someone you thought you understood, you're not alone. I've been there too. But what if I told you there's a way to see beyond the surface, calmly, clearly, without confrontation? That's where Stoic philosophy comes in. Rooted in ancient wisdom, Stoicism teaches us to observe without judgment, to listen deeply, and to read people not with suspicion, but with clarity and strength. It's not about control, it's about insight. In today's video, you'll learn 6 powerful Stoic principles to understand people deeply, without them even realizing it. From subtle shifts in tone, to emotional triggers, to how they act when no one's watching. Every clue matters. If you find this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss another insight that sharpens your mind and deepens your self-awareness. Now, let's dive into the first one. Number 1, ask, tell me more, and let them reveal everything. It started with something as small as a disagreement at the dinner table. Emma had invited a few colleagues over for a casual Friday night meal. The wine was flowing, the food was great, and the conversation drifted from light jokes to deeper topics. That's when someone brought up parenting styles, and suddenly the energy shifted. One of her guests, Jason, became noticeably defensive when another guest casually mentioned the importance of discipline. His tone sharpened and his body stiffened. Emma was about to respond, to challenge his view. She had strong opinions on the topic, but something held her back. She paused, looked at him calmly, and simply said, "Tell me more." Jason blinked. For a moment, it was like he didn't know what to do with that space. No argument, no judgment, just quiet curiosity. And then he spoke. Not louder, but deeper. He talked about growing up in a chaotic home, about how, as a kid, he wished someone would have set firm boundaries, about how becoming a father now meant rewriting everything he had experienced. What began as a tense moment turned into a revealing, vulnerable conversation. Most of us, in a situation like Emma's, react by pushing back. We feel the need to prove our point, correct the other person, or defend our view. That's the instinct, rooted in ego, pride, and the fear of being misunderstood. But Stoicism offers another way. It reminds us that we don't need to control others to understand them, that our strength lies not in overpowering the conversation, but in guiding it gently, with curiosity, not confrontation. The phrase "tell me more" is deceptively simple, but it embodies a profound Stoic principle. Let go of control. Focus on understanding. Emma could have argued. She could have felt attacked or triggered. But instead, she chose to listen. Not passively, but attentively, intentionally. And in doing so, she gave Jason a space to drop his defenses and reveal something far more human than a hot take, his story. In moments of conflict or disagreement, the Stoic doesn't ask, "How do I win this?" They ask, "What is this person really trying to say? What pain are they speaking from?" That's how transformation begins, not in silencing others, but in helping them feel heard. And paradoxically, that's when people start saying what really matters. Emma later said she'd never seen Jason open up like that before, and he probably didn't even realize how much he revealed, because he didn't feel like he was being interrogated. He just felt safe. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Not every disagreement needs a reaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is silence, followed by a sincere invitation. Tell me more. It's like handing someone a key and watching them unlock their own door. Think of it this way. Most people are like a river. On the surface, you see the ripples, what they say, how they act, but when you stop stirring the water and simply observe, it starts to clear. Only then can you see the stones underneath, the fears, memories, hopes they usually keep hidden. Tell me more is how we stop stirring. Today, try this in a real conversation. Next time someone shares an opinion, especially one you disagree with, don't interrupt, don't correct. Just pause and say, "Tell me more." Watch what happens when you listen not to reply, but to understand. Notice how their tone changes, how their words deepen, how the conversation shifts from surface level to something real. Make this a habit. Replace reaction with reflection. Carry a small notebook or use your phone to jot down what surprised you in conversations. Not just what people say, but what they reveal when you let them talk. And, over time, develop long-term awareness. Ask yourself after each deep talk, did I seek to understand or just to be understood? This small shift, repeated daily, reshapes your relationships, your influence, and your inner calm. Emma's moment of pause didn't just de-escalate tension, it created connection. She moved from defensiveness to presence, from needing to be right to being rooted in wisdom. That's the quiet power of Stoicism in action. It doesn't scream. It listens. It doesn't dominate. It understands. And in doing so, it changes everything. Silently, but completely. That's how a familiar moment becomes something deeper, thanks to a Stoic perspective. But there's another way people reveal themselves without knowing it. Let's talk about that next. Number 2. Watch how they treat people who can't help them. Have you ever seen someone act one way in public and a totally different way in private? Like they're all smiles and manners when the boss is around, but turn cold or dismissive the moment the spotlight fades? It makes you wonder, which version of them is real? Stoicism teaches us that the truth of a person isn't found in the words they speak when they're being watched. It's found in the way they treat those who can offer them nothing in return. So if you want to understand someone's character, don't just listen to their words. Watch their behavior, especially toward those they consider beneath them. Character isn't built when you're being watched. It's revealed when you think no one is. How do they treat the barista when their coffee order is wrong? How do they speak to the janitor at work? What's their tone with the delivery driver or the person cleaning their hotel room? Do they offer respect, or do they assume superiority? Do they show basic decency, or do they act like some roles don't deserve it? This is where the Stoic perspective changes everything. Epictetus once said, "You become what you give your attention to." If someone constantly gives their attention to status, hierarchy, and power, they begin to see the world through that lens. But the Stoic sees beyond the surface. They look at how someone behaves, not just who they appear to be. I once worked with a guy named Andrew. Charming, intelligent, great in meetings. People loved his energy. But then, during a business trip, I saw another side of him. At the hotel, he snapped at the front desk staff for a small delay. At dinner, he barked at the waiter like the man didn't exist. He didn't say thank you once the entire evening. That night, something clicked. This wasn't a bad day. This was the real Andrew. The one he only showed when he didn't think it mattered. You ever seen someone like that? Cato the Younger, one of the most admired Stoics in Roman history, was known for walking through the streets without guards or fine robes, speaking kindly to both senators and servants. He believed virtue didn't depend on status, but on consistency of character. That's the Stoic ideal. And it's still relevant today, maybe more than ever. Have you ever looked back on a moment and realized, wow, I didn't need to raise my voice? Or felt regret because you didn't show someone basic courtesy? That's okay. We've all been there. But Stoicism doesn't judge, it guides. It says, start where you are and do better. So next time you're about to react harshly, pause. Ask yourself, is this how I'd want to be treated if our roles were reversed? Am I acting from ego or from principle? You'll be surprised how quickly this mindset shifts your energy from reactivity to responsibility. True character is how you treat those who have nothing to offer you, because that's when there's no incentive to impress, only the mirror of who you really are. How to practice this Stoic principle today? Start small. Make eye contact with the grocery clerk. Say thank you to the janitor in your building. Acknowledge the human behind the uniform, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Practice speaking in the same tone to everyone, whether they're the CEO or the intern. This consistency builds integrity and reveals real self-respect. And in the long term, work on dissolving the mental hierarchy. Catch yourself when you label someone important or unimportant. Then challenge that thought. Because to the Stoic, no one is beneath you, and no one is above you either. That shift, it doesn't just change how you treat others, it transforms who you become. So, next time you want to understand someone's true nature, don't just listen to how they talk to you. Watch how they treat the quietest voice in the room. That's where truth lives. Number 3. Their past explains everything about their present. Time discovers truth, Seneca. It's a quiet sentence, almost too simple. But behind these 3 words lies one of the deepest truths in human behavior. What people show you now is often the echo of something they haven't yet healed. So what does Seneca really mean? He's not just talking about truth in abstract ideas. He's talking about the truth of a person. The truth of why they act, react, and feel the way they do. And that truth, it almost always comes from the past. Let's explore this. Think about someone who always gets defensive when questioned, or someone who avoids closeness, even when they say they crave love. Why is that? Is it just their personality? Or is it possible they're reacting not to you, but to an old wound they've never addressed? Stoicism teaches us to observe without judgment, to look at behavior, not with frustration, but with understanding. Because what we're often witnessing is not defiance, or coldness, or rudeness, it's protection. Time discovers truth, suggests that what we see now is just the surface. Over time, when we slow down, observe, and reflect, we begin to see the source. And more often than not, that source is rooted in someone's past. A harsh tone may come from years of being ignored. A quick temper may come from growing up in an unstable home. A fear of commitment may come from a betrayal that still stings, even if they never talk about it. So when someone behaves in a way that feels confusing or hurtful, the Stoic doesn't take it personally. Instead, they ask, where might this be coming from? What pain might this person be carrying? How much of this is actually about me, and how much is just a pattern repeating itself? I remember working with a woman named Carla. She was brilliant but guarded. Quick to take offense, slow to trust. At first I thought she just didn't like people, but over time, in small moments, she began to share pieces of her story. A controlling parent, betrayal by close friends, a long stretch of financial struggle. Suddenly, everything made sense. Her sharpness wasn't aggression, it was armor. Her silence wasn't coldness, it was protection. She wasn't reacting to me, she was reacting to memories. Does that sound familiar? Think of people like icebergs. What you see above the surface, their words, tone, habits, is just a fraction of what's really going on. Below the waterline is everything they've experienced, everything they've survived, and everything they still carry. We judge the iceberg by its tip, but the truth lives underneath. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you should be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Why? Because we can't always understand what others are going through, but we can control our own perspective. And that perspective should come from compassion, not assumption. So let me ask you, have you ever judged someone harshly, only to later learn something about their past that made you see them differently? Have you ever reacted to someone's behavior without stopping to ask, what pain might be hiding here? And maybe, just maybe, you've done the same thing yourself. You've snapped at someone when deep down you were overwhelmed. You pushed someone away not because you didn't care, but because you cared too much and were afraid to lose them. That's the beauty of this principle. It doesn't just help you understand others, it helps you forgive yourself. What people do in the present is often a mirror of what they survived in the past. And when you see that clearly, you stop blaming, you start observing, you start understanding. And that's what Stoicism is all about. How to practice the Stoic insight. Next time someone reacts in a way that feels unfair, pause. Ask yourself, what past experience might this be echoing? It doesn't mean you tolerate harmful behavior, but you begin to separate the person from the pain they carry. Practice curiosity in place of judgment. In conversations, ask gently, has something like this happened to you before? Often people open up, not to justify, but to be seen. Reflect on your own reactions. When you feel triggered or emotional, ask yourself, is this about now, or am I reliving something from before? And over time, journal about the patterns you notice, both in others and in yourself. This self-awareness, built daily, is the Stoic's greatest tool for emotional clarity. So yes, time discovers truth, and if you're patient, compassionate, and observant, that truth will come forward. And once it does, everything begins to make sense. Number 4. Pay attention to shifts in their voice. It happened during a casual Zoom call. Anna had worked with her teammate Josh for over a year. He was known for his calm, upbeat personality, always clear, always confident. But that morning, as they discussed an upcoming deadline, something felt off. Josh's voice, usually steady, suddenly dipped. His pace slowed, his words became vague, and his usual rhythm disappeared. She didn't catch what he said. She caught how he said it. And that was enough. Because sometimes the truth isn't in the words. It's in the tone behind them. Have you ever experienced something like that? Someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice cracks halfway through. Or they insist, "Yeah, sure, I'm excited," but their energy vanishes before they finish the sentence. You feel it, even if they don't. That's because your intuition is reading something their words are trying to hide. According to Stoic thinking, every external event, even a conversation, is an opportunity to train our inner awareness. A true Stoic listens not only with the ears, but with the mind. Not to judge, but to understand. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, observe what people do, not just what they say. And what they do with their voice, how it shifts, hesitates, breaks, or sharpens, is an action in itself. When someone lies, feels uncertain, or masks discomfort, their voice often betrays them. Their words are rehearsed, but their tone? That comes straight from the subconscious. In the past, Anna might have brushed it off, maybe gotten annoyed, thinking Josh was being lazy or vague. Maybe she would have snapped back with frustration. But this time she paused. Instead of reacting, she remembered something from a Stoic reading. Don't respond to what you expect, respond to what is. And what was in that moment was clear discomfort. So she asked gently, "Hey, everything okay? You seem a bit off today." That small act of attention changed everything. Josh opened up, not immediately, but eventually, and explained he'd been dealing with family stress and hadn't had the bandwidth to complete the task. The tone had spoken before the truth ever could. There's a story about the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Not just to the words, but to the truth behind them. Listening with awareness is a Stoic act. It's not passive, it's intentional. How to train your ear and mind. Start with presence. In your next conversation, listen not just to what someone says, but how they say it. Pay attention to tone, pacing, volume, and pauses. Do they sound like themselves? Or is something off? Don't confront. Observe. Then, and this is important, resist the urge to fill in the silence. Let them finish. Let the space exist. That space is often where the real message lives. If you notice a shift, ask with compassion. Is something on your mind? Or you sound a little different? Want to talk about it? Write down your observations afterward. Reflect on how tone changed your understanding of the moment. This builds pattern recognition, a key Stoic skill. Over the long term, practice using your own voice with honesty. Speak calmly, truthfully, and intentionally. The more your words align with your values, the more clearly you'll hear the dissonance in others. Anna could have reacted with judgment, but she responded with awareness. What started as a potential misunderstanding became a moment of trust. All because she listened, not just to the surface, but beneath it. That's the power of Stoicism in real life. It sharpens our perception. It helps us see and hear what others miss. And when we hear what's real, we respond with clarity, not confusion. So, next time you feel something's off in a conversation, don't ignore it. The voice always tells the truth, even when the words don't. And once you begin to notice that, your relationships shift in a deeper, more honest direction. That's how a simple moment becomes a Stoic lesson in awareness. Number 5. Who they are when no one's watching is who they really are. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. It's one of those quotes that hits you quietly but deeply. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't need an audience. It simply demands something few people are truly willing to do. Be good, even when no one's watching. Let's break this down. What does it mean to be good? And why does Marcus insist we stop arguing about it? The Stoics believe that virtue is action, not performance. It's not about grand speeches or flawless reputations. It's about how you behave when the camera's off, when there's no reward, no recognition, no one clapping. We live in a world that rewards appearances, likes, praise, recognition. But Stoicism pushes us to flip the lens. Instead of asking, how do others see me, it asks, who am I when I'm alone? That's the test. Not how you treat your boss, but how you speak to the janitor. Not what you post online, but how you act when no one's there to validate you. Because in silence, you meet your truest self. There's a story about a man who always picked up trash from the sidewalk on his morning walk. No one ever saw him do it. He never posted about it. One day, a neighbor caught him in the act and said, "Why bother? No one sees you." He smiled and replied, "I see me." That's Stoicism in motion. Quiet integrity, no performance, just principle. Seneca once wrote, "What you do when you have nothing to gain shows who you truly are." This isn't meant to guilt you, it's meant to free you. Because when you let go of needing approval, you act from a place of truth. You become steady, not because people are watching, but because you've decided who you are. Think about this. When was the last time you did something kind and didn't tell a soul? When was the last time you were patient with someone who had no power over you? Have you ever caught yourself acting one way in public and another in private? We all have. And that's okay. Stoicism isn't about shame. It's about awareness. The moment you realize that your private behavior matters just as much, if not more, than your public one, something shifts. You stop performing. You start becoming. Next time you're tempted to be rude to someone you think doesn't matter, pause. Remind yourself, this is the real test of my character. Speak with the same respect you'd offer your best friend. Not because of them, but because of you. Do one kind act today that no one sees. Don't post it. Don't announce it. Just do it and walk away. Let that goodness exist only in your heart. And here's a long-term habit. At the end of each day, ask yourself, was I the same person in private as I was in public? If the answer is no, don't judge. Adjust. Because that daily reflection, done with honesty, not ego, builds something unshakable over time. Integrity. When your actions align in every setting, when you treat the unseen moment as seriously as the visible one, people begin to sense something different in you. They can't always name it, but they feel it, and more importantly, you feel it. That calm, that pride, that groundedness. Not from applause, but from knowing, truly knowing, that you lived your day with honor. That's Stoicism. It doesn't need a stage. It only asks for truth. So remember Marcus's words, don't argue about what a good person should be one. And be one, especially when no one's looking, because that's when it matters most. Number 6, emotions always reveal what they truly care about. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a toolkit for mastering yourself, especially your emotions. And once you understand how emotions work, you'll begin to see what truly drives not only others, but yourself. Emotions aren't the enemy, but they are signals. And like any signal, they're most useful when you learn how to read them, not react to them. So what's the Stoic approach? Let's begin by answering one core question. Why do we react emotionally in the first place? It's simple. Because something we care about feels threatened, challenged, or validated. That's why Stoics teach us to pay attention not just to what people say, but how strongly they react, because that's where the truth lives. Strong reactions reveal deep attachments. Think about it. You're calm when something doesn't matter to you. But the moment something hits close to home, your values, your pride, your sense of control, your emotions flare up. That's not a coincidence. That's insight. A friend gets unusually angry when you're late. A colleague overreacts to a small correction. A loved one shuts down during an argument. They're not just reacting to the moment, they're reacting to what the moment represents. It touches something deeper, something personal. According to Epictetus, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. That means it's not the event that upsets us, it's what we think it means. So the next time someone reacts emotionally, instead of pushing back, ask yourself, what value of theirs is being touched here? What fear might they be protecting? What are they trying to preserve? This mindset doesn't just help you stay calm, it helps you understand people better. than they understand themselves. And if you look closely enough, you'll see it in yourself too. I knew a manager who prided himself on being calm and logical, but every time his decisions were questioned, even gently, he became defensive. Why? Because to him, being right wasn't just about the project. It was about his identity. He built his self-worth around being competent. So any challenge, no matter how small, felt like a threat. And once he understood that, everything changed. He learned to separate the feedback from the fear. And that emotional space gave him power. The power to respond, not react. So ask yourself honestly, what situations get an outsized emotional response from you? Is it when you feel ignored? When you're criticized? When plans fall apart? Those emotions are trying to tell you something. They're not flaws, they're guides. They point toward what you value most, sometimes even more than you realize. And once you know what triggers your emotions, you gain the power to handle them with clarity instead of chaos. Emotional reactions reveal what matters most, to others and to you. Paying attention to those reactions is how you learn what's underneath the surface. And that understanding? It's not weakness, it's wisdom. How to practice this Stoic insight today. Start by observing. Next time you have a strong emotional reaction, don't suppress it. Pause and ask, what value is this tied to? Journal it, not just the emotion, but what triggered it and what it taught you. When someone else overreacts, resist judgment. Try curiosity instead. Ask yourself, what does this mean to them? You'll see their humanity and your own more clearly. Long-term, make it a habit to detach your identity from outcomes. Praise and criticism come and go, but your peace, your virtue, is yours to protect. That's the Stoic path. Not emotionless, but emotionally wise. We began this video with one simple question. How can you truly read people without them knowing? And through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we've explored how the truth isn't always in what's said, but in what's shown, in tone, in silence, in hidden moments, and emotional reactions. You've learned how to listen deeper, observe more clearly, and understand people, not by judging them, but by noticing what lies beneath the surface. And more importantly, you've discovered how those same tools can help you understand yourself. Because the real power of Stoicism isn't in reading others, it's in becoming someone who lives with presence, clarity, and quiet strength, no matter the situation. So here's my final challenge to you. In your next conversation, don't rush to speak, don't aim to win. Just observe and listen like a Stoic. And if this video helped you see people and yourself a little more clearly, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next insight. Drop a comment below. Tell me what resonated most with you. Or if you're not sure, just type, I liked this video, so I know you're here with me. And remember, you don't need to speak loudly to be powerful. You just need to live with truth. Thanks for watching. Stay calm, stay sharp, and stay Stoic.